Hey everyone, this is Rem Fox with Food Science 475, 12/10/2017, personal project, final oral presentation. This project is about the optimization of my time usage on a daily basis. The problem that I started off with this semester was I struggle with time management. There's too many small tasks that get in my way throughout the day. There's too many things that are happening at once, and there's not enough time, and I don't have enough focus to get everything done that I'd like to. So my defined phase was me looking at my schedule and coming up with these kinds of goals that I wanted to achieve throughout this project. So I wanted to increase, or I want, I will. These are all, I guess, statements. So I will increase the amount of time that I spend working on assigned or designated activities each day. I will reallocate my time and schedule to be more efficient throughout the day. Overall, I will free up more time on the weekends to relax and not worry about school or related activities. So this comes from me wanting to get a lot of my work done during the school week, so I have time to relax and kind of recoup on the weekends, talk to my family and stuff like that. So yeah, I'll take a look at my schedule at the beginning part of the year, just like we did in the original defined phase, and you can see how I kind of every semester I kind of map out the way that my semester goes. I have some things here to that I'll cover with you so that you fully understand everything. So the green area is kind of like my free time, and stuff that are green is like kind of my like personal time that's just for me. Time that's in yellow is time when people can come bug me about other stuff that they would like me to get done, or that I work and study. Time that's in red is class time. I try and schedule out this class for a couple different blocks in the week. Time that's in blue is my responsibilities with my fraternity here on campus, so these light blue spots. The dark blue is my international fraternity, I guess, responsibilities. And then the orange is the fraternity council here at the university. I run that, so that's kind of what my schedule looks like throughout the week. Every week, pretty much the same. Just a meeting on the weekend that plugs up part of my Sunday. But other than that, good looking schedule. Got most things on there that go on in an average week. So that's what my define phase looked at. My measure phase. What I did for the measure phase was I used a daily log. What I wanted to do originally was use a daily log and track my time spent performing each of my tasks and report where I'm losing time and why I'm losing that time throughout my day. And this became so, I guess, tedious that I really couldn't keep track of it. I tried waking up every day and writing down a list of things that I was going to do and the time that I was going to do those things during the day and how much time I planned on using and how much time I actually used. And if something got in the way, I was going to write that down too. But that became a way bigger project than I was willing to take on for this class. It was hard enough to write everything down at the beginning of the day, let alone keep track of every little thing and how long every little thing takes me. And the estimations really weren't working that well because some other things would come up and some other things would get taken off my schedule for the day. So that didn't work out super well, but I did improvise the best I could with the defined phase. I had enough data that I could work with it. So the second thing was I'm trying to reorganize my schedule so that I can better accomplish tasks throughout the week and get more things done during the week to leave my weekends open. That was what I showed you with the schedule on the other slide. And then keep a daily log of how much time spent on each activity. So with those extracurricular activities are included in my usage of time. I think that that's part of what I do as a student is my extracurriculars. So that's included in my project. So all of that's all clumped into one. So here's in my measure phase. You can see down here I have all my different pretty much on this half of the graph is all my extracurricular activities. So a little bit of work stuff at the beginning of the semester. I had a project with the Sustainability Center that took up some time, the Interfraternity Council on campus, my international position, and then as vice president of my chapter. And then with this stuff over here, these are all my classes. And so just some basic things. to go over on this slide is the difference between the extracurricular and school activities. Just from looking at the graph, you can see that there's a pretty heavy, it's kind of a 50-50 split is what you pretty much see for school and extracurriculars. And at the beginning of the year, that was good to realize because it helped me later in the project. But it's kind of scary to see that kind of stuff right when you start off the beginning of the school year, knowing that you're putting so much time into these extra activities and not as much into school as you should be. So low numbers for some of the categories in school and extracurricular areas. I guess for extracurricular, this university position was more the one that I'm talking about, but school was the more important one with the low numbers. Only spending 18 hours over the course of 4 weeks on a 400 level class, and over here 14.5 hours on this class and 22 for a biochemistry 4-credit class. That's just not very much, and so those were not great. The peaks for some of these tend to be in lab periods for academia. So the 417 class and the 461 class, these are both lab periods that, so it's saying basically most of the things that I have to do are lab reports and working with lab gear. So that's what that's saying, I guess. The next one I did was this, a chart of my usage of time throughout the course of my 32 days that I monitored this. So this is the number of hours that I was monitoring, that I was utilizing every day. So my hours available for 32 days, 16 hours a day, was 480 hours. Hours I used was 279.5. My unavailable hours, this is like time for me to go to class and time for walking to class and driving to WSU or driving back to U of I or eating food, stuff like that. So then when I come up with my unutilized time is the amount of time that I could have spent. And you subtract both of these numbers from it to get the number of hours that I wasn't using. So where's the time going? Why is it hard to take advantage of? And what limitations do I have? So I came up with this little the little fishbone diagram. One cause I thought was distractions, my phone, my computer, making me feel I have more things going on or more things that I can take care of immediately than I really have. And so I might actually have too many things going on. The other thing was efficiency throughout the day has become a problem. I seem to slow down after a few days of work. Might be due to a lack of consistent sleep cycles. Need to follow a more strict schedule. So for me, that was just looking at like the oscillations between these days and seeing that it goes up and down and up and down. That's what the whole graph looks like. There's never days where it's like building up. I mean, this is obviously a little bit of a jump in this section, but the whole graph doesn't look like that. There's not really a steady trend. So those are two things that I thought I could focus on. So going into the second part, I rearranged my schedule for the week and kind of reallocated my time. I tried to squeeze this 475 class into Monday afternoons and Tuesday mornings. And the rest of the stuff, you can see I had some stuff kind of clustered up in here during the week. And I moved all of that to pretty much out here. I didn't really give it a specific space because I figured out that when I would sit down in the middle of the day between classes and like right here I would focus on all the other extracurricular stuff, it made it really hard for me to like keep my groove going with school throughout the day. And so that's what kind of got me off. I think that's a large factor of what got me off is that I was taking time out of my day to focus on that stuff when I still should have been focusing on school. So I moved all that stuff. I actually just deleted it out of here, and I normally handle pretty much everything else besides my meetings just out here after I get out of classes. So that's the big difference between the two, I guess. That's pretty much it for that section. So this is my raw data that I collected from the second portion of it. You can look right here and see this is the split. There's two things that are missing. My sustainability project here, and then I had my Ecolab internship ended, and I didn't have to fly out to do a presentation. And then with my international fraternity, on the last one I was on a trip, and so that trip took up a lot of time, and I didn't have to go anywhere while I was doing my analyze and improve phase. So my analyze and improve phase, I only took into account 21 days of analyze and improvement. So you can look at the gap here between the extracurricular and school activities now. You can see there's, 54 hours of extracurricular stuff and a whole lot more of time spent on school. So total hours that I spent working was 220.5. Hours available was 273. Hours unavailable 36, and unused hours was only 16.5. So that's a lot better than the first one. You remember the first one, the number was like 110.5 hours that I wasn't using, and we got that down to 16. And granted, it's a lower number of days, but that's a big improvement. So here's the control chart that the same one from earlier, but this is just for my 21 days that I measured in my analyze and improvement phase. So my average hours that I'm now working per day, instead of the 8.73 that I had before, I'm up to 9.92, so almost 10 hours. Now to control points, I guess it's good that some of them are above the above the graph, working on school and extracurricular stuff more than I thought I would. 4 out of the 6 times, but 6 out of 21, so it's not great, but it's more in control than the last chart, and I can see improvement in by the averages of. You can see improvement in the average, and you can also see this graph doesn't. As you're going along, I guess it doesn't seem like it builds and goes up like a jump. Like, oh my gosh, I have a ton of stuff going on. Midterms are coming up, big jump. It's a little more calm and just kind of flowing through. So. Yeah, going into how I determined whether or not there was a significant difference in my data from the first time to the second time, I looked at I z-scored both of these. So is there actually a difference in the data? The null hypothesis say there's no difference that exists. The z-score will be within the range of the given data table for the two-tailed test. The alternative is there is significant difference, and the z-score will be outside the range of the numbers that I have given. So we looked at the numbers given in the table for the z-score. Critical value for the sample was 1.725. My calculated value using the equation here with the averages, standard deviations, and degrees of freedom, 3.26. So my null hypothesis is rejected because I have a value that's outside of the range here. So that means there is significant difference within the data. And for me, since it's positive, that means that there was an improvement, a significant improvement in my average hours a day that is spent on work and school and all that good stuff. So, last 2 weeks of data were not that great. I kept them, and basically it. A little bit more steady, but wasn't great. I didn't really want to include it in this, but I haven't had that much to do these last 2 weeks. So my average time that I'm spending a week or a day working about 7.73 hours. There's really been less required from school and everything the past 2 weeks. Some things that are affecting that is the fact that 2 of my classes don't have finals, and I have just been doing a lot better. So yeah, it's been going great. Carrying it forward, this is the most important slide for me, I think, because with what I do and what I want to do, like I guess with career path and all that kind of stuff, learning this stuff is really great, but being able to teach it to people a lot quicker than having them take a class on it is super important. So the first step for me is taking this into the next semester is how am I going to use this how do I use the information I gathered this semester to affect next semester? And so I have my schedule kind of planned out for next semester already, and I'm trying to do the same thing where I scrunch school up in the front part of the day and kind of get all that knocked out and then move into extracurricular activities and other things I got to do. Taking this into my career, I think that's really important for me. My job with Ecolab is going to be as a regional sales account manager. So being able to get work done at certain parts of the day and really allocating that is going to be super important for me. So having my schedule will be changing a lot, but having it be very strict and followed and structured, I think will be really important. And being able to kind of sit down and write things out after I get out of a plant or after I get done making some observations, walking around, putting in orders and stuff like that. Those are all really kind of key aspects that I'm going to have to kind of set a time limit on, I guess. Like, hey, I was just in here. I'm going to take 30 minutes to write up a little report about it and send it to them, instead of saying, okay, I'm going to work on this at some time tonight. I'm going to work on this sometime tonight. I got to do this, got to do this. It's just got to be all, for me, what I've learned this semester is that it's just got to be all kind of work in one section and stuff after that in another section. So part of the reason why I want to get all this stuff taken care of during the week is because I like having my weekends free, which is just time for me to kind of collect and get, I guess just get myself collected back together. So, and then teaching this to other people, I think is also super important for me. In my fraternity, a lot of people struggle, with time management and all the other things that are going on campus, other student leaders and everything like that. I talk with a lot of other student leaders on campus, and time management is something that gets in a lot of students' ways on campus. So we're working on ways as like a student body and some like more upper division leadership type stuff as to how to eliminate the kinds of time management problems that we see on campus within students, and matching calendars and moving to online platforms and all that stuff's great. But people being able to understand kind of the way that they work and the way that they function is super important. So even getting people to write down how many hours they think they spend a day doing schoolwork and how many hours a day they think they spend, screwing off with their friends or stuff like that is just, it seems really small, but you don't really have to teach someone this whole course to get them to understand that they can make really small steps to improve some things that they do in their life. So I think those are the three most important things that I've gotten out of this this class and specifically this project is that I got to be able to apply this next semester. I got to be able to take this into my career, and I hopefully will be able to kind of teach this or summarize it to some other people. So I'm thinking about kind of putting something together like I did. We had to do in food engineering for 432, I think, with the kind of like a one-page like summary of something that you learned, and you can relate it to food engineering. I'm kind of thinking about doing that with control, like control charts and control systems and like monitoring systems and everything, and how you can tell whether or not you're getting a significant improvement or not. So I think that'd be cool, kind of something handy, maybe just give to people so they understand how to reflect and like look at themselves for that in that aspect. But if you guys have any questions about my project or anything like that, please leave it in the comments section below. And I can't wait to see your guys' projects. Thank you for watching.